I got 7.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you've got the official time then.
Yeah, you're the president. Say it's 7.
Good evening. Welcome to the March Lake Mills School Board meeting. And we have a new mission statement. We've been having a committee working on that for a number of months. And the new mission statement is preparing all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. So can we stand and do the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll call the meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Here.
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 Here. Verification of meeting notice?
Yes, it was in the paper and on the website.
We have just a couple of agenda revisions, and that is under board reports number 2, policy reports. We're going to postpone delay action on A through E. And we're going to go forward with F and G at the first reading and a little discussion on that. So delete A, B, C, D, and E. With that, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda, those revisions.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously. Community input, we have any community input?
Mr. Patton, I think, was going to speak, or one of the,
Somebody is.
somebody,
All right.
or Mrs. Morris, one of them.
Yeah. We're going to do kind of a group thing.
All right.
Okay.
You gonna take a picture?
No, I have to read from my phone because
Oh,
I forgot
okay.
to print it out. So, yeah.
I don't have glasses, so I can't read that
He can't
small.
read my tiny print, so this is why I'm reading. Yeah, I'm
Right,
going
yeah.
green. I guess that's it, yeah.
All right.
The LMEA and the LMESPA would like to commend Steve Topol for his service to the board as we realize he's not running for re-election. These are tough times for education, and we really appreciate your putting your time and energy into attending all the meetings and putting the LMASD students first. Your willingness to listen and work together with administration, teachers, and support staff towards solutions is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. All right. Consent agenda. Minutes of February 9th, regular board meeting.
I move approval of the February 9th, 2015 regular meeting minutes.
Moved and seconded to approve the February 9th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, opposed? One abstention? 4 in favor, 4 ayes, and 1 abstention. Annie? Okay, vouchers and invoices and the treasurer's report.
I move to approve the vouchers and invoices in the amount of $2,385,782.18 for the month of February, and the treasurer's report for February 2015.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the vouchers and invoices and the treasury report for February. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Administrative reports, Mrs. Thompson.
I wanted to thank our parents for coming to parent-teacher conferences last month. We had 570 parents come to our conferences, so thank you for your partnership in your child's education. Last week was Read Across America Week. We had a lot of different events throughout the week to build even more excitement around reading. And one of the culminating activities that Ms. Nichols, Mrs. Moen, and Mrs. Dahl put on was a Skype visit with author Sandra Markle. The students have been learning about Sandra Markle's work as an author throughout the whole school year. And then Mrs. Dahl, leading up to the visit, had a lot going on in the LMC for students to be able to read her books. I know some of our first graders wrote about her stories. And then we visited with her via Skype. She was in her kitchen in Florida doing some science experiments for her. Sandra Markle is a scientist that writes informational text for children. So she was showing us things that she's learned along the way as a scientist, and then also talked to us about how she wrote her book. So I wanted to thank the staff members for putting together that event for our children. Also last week, we had 2 teachers attend a sustainability summit in Milwaukee. Mrs. Gallstead, who's here this evening, and Mr. Zeski were panel members for a presentation about growing green, growing our children green. And there were 4 different organizations that shared information on how we are changing the way that we're reaching out to our children to help them to become eco-minded citizens of the future. So I want to thank them for their leadership and representing our school and our school district. And finally, last week and again tomorrow, we have our 4K roundup. So any students who are going to be 4 years old on September 1st should be in our roundup. Please call our front office if you do have a student who's going to be attending 4K next year. It's great meeting all of the parents and seeing the students as they come in to learn about 4K for next school year. Any questions?
4 years old, on or before
September 1st.
September 1st. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Nicholson?
Good evening. Woo. Couple of things going on at the middle school. Doing a lot of curriculum work. Science and language arts are both working mid-cycle with Jamie on their curriculum, so a lot of great ideas coming out of there. We also had parent-teacher conferences. We tried a new format where parents signed up outside the classrooms, not necessarily beforehand, but because of the way the school is designed, it's hard to tell what parents are outside waiting for which teacher. So we had them sign up, but we got a little backlogged. So I'm forming several committees this spring. One will be to review parent-teacher conferences and how we can improve those. It's hard to see 150 parents, and middle school parents really want to see their teachers still. So we're trying to find the best balance for that. And in the spring, we typically have students lead their conferences, so that adds a level of complexity there. But we tried some new things. Some of it worked, and some of it didn't. But I'll have a committee on that. We're also working with the scheduling committee right now, and doing some other committees too. We're redesigning how we need to communicate with parents and how we're going, like homework. Some people use homework hotline, some people email, some people use their personal website. So we need to get that a little more consistent, so we'll have a committee on that. And we have a couple other committees meeting this spring as well. Outside of the classroom, Web just put on a great night. Web is where everybody belongs. That's where our 8th graders host the 5th graders throughout the year and make them feel welcome in the school. And they had a carnival night Friday night that went very, very well. Our 8th graders really stepped up and did a nice job leading that. And then our student council on Friday, they host a talent show. And it's the students leading the talent show. It's not the teacher. We wouldn't have it if the students didn't want to do it. Another great talent show. We typically don't have parents attend that show because it's kind of a student event for students, in case you get any questions around that. Sports, end of the wrestling and basketball season, and right into track and tennis. Any questions for me? All right,
Good,
thank you.
thank you. Mrs. Strike?
Well, it's been a busy time since we last met last month, and Eli Primer, I told him he needed to go to the athletic awards tonight, as his last year as a wrestler, and so I'm going to give all of the information that he would have given as well. First, and most importantly, we're very proud to announce that Bailey Wallace is our valedictorian and Stevie Warple is our salutatorian for the class of 2015. And we just congratulate them on being exceptional students. And we also congratulate their families on this accomplishment. We completed the ACT and the ACT Work Keys testing with our juniors. That culminated about a year and a half of work. It went very, very, very well, and we're really pleased that the whole entire school embraced it as an important time. And you know, we had a modified schedule, and kids came in, and it turned out that kids had study groups and work groups on the time that they had off. You know, the freshmen, juniors, and seniors, and they were very respectful of the testing. It just was a really a really great couple of days, and I think the kids took it very seriously. We had course selection night, and we had 87% of our families come, so we had a tremendous amount of people in the building that night. And we also had our parent-teacher conferences. I think that we want to think about having those two events so close together because parent-teacher conferences were not as well attended, and I think it was because the parents were just there the week before. But thank you to all the parents who attended both of these events. FFA celebrated FFA week early so that we could accommodate testing. So we've celebrated that already this year, and then they also hosted the winter, it was changed to a winter informal dance Saturday night. We canceled the winter formal because of the weather. And anyway, the kids had a great time Saturday night after the basketball game. We had a wonderful staff development with Tony Frontier as we continue to talk about what we're calling meaningful feedback to our students. In this session, he focused on his new book, The 5 Levers to Improve Learning. And it really led to a morning-long discussion about the difference between transactional change and transformational change. And then we concluded the afternoon working with him about instructional strategies for the classroom. And believe it or not, we continue to welcome new students every week. We just had new students start today. And we are looking forward to the following events before our next meeting. Tomorrow, National Honor Society has a blood drive all day. On March 17th, we'll have our annual band, choir, and orchestra concert in the gym. That's a great kickoff to Music in Schools month. Our show choir is about ready to head off to New York. They'll perform at the Statue of Liberty and also at the United Nations, and then they'll tour the city, and they'll also attend a Broadway show. Hot off the press, our forensics accounting team, you might remember you approved that overnight trip for them. They competed today in Sheboygan, and they took 4th place. They have a really big trophy out of 18 teams, and that was paid for with a grant that Mrs. Iverson had procured for that. And in solo ensemble, we have 27 events going on to the state level. And then, believe it or not, winter sports have finally ended. We ended Saturday night. Our girls team made it into the second round of regional play. Our boys made it to the regional finals and beat Marshall Friday night to then play East Troy Saturday night. And we might have mentioned this before, but our wrestling team sent 3 wrestlers to sectionals. So a really successful season. But and then they're concluding tonight with the awards banquet or ceremony in the auditorium. And believe it or not, track started this afternoon. Softball will begin next Monday, and baseball and girls soccer start the following week. So we're right back in it. Wow. But we are going to take spring break, and that will be March 30th to the 3rd. And then we have staff development again with Dr. Tony Frontier on the 6th, and kids will come back to start 4th quarter on the 7th of April. It's a busy place. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sivrud.
Good evening. Just a couple big things that have happened in the last month. This last Pet Professional Development Day, Monica Yandre and Leanne Carlton, 2 of our special education teachers, did professional development for any assistant who was willing and wanting to come on autism. We're really working on making sure our best practices are going on with our kids with autism and that everybody in the district understands autism, and it was very well received. So I thank Monica and Leanne for doing that again. The other big thing that happened this month is that Pam and I went to the psychologist job fair and met a lot of wonderful candidates. We brought back a couple of them to interview here, and we have hired one of them pending your approval tonight, and we're very excited. She's willing to start next year, brand new psychologist, so very exciting.
Good.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mr. Shady.
Well, good evening. We'll start tonight by mentioning that last month the board approved a parameters resolution with regards to the potential to refund the second series of our middle school construction bonds back from 2009. Mr. Sanders and I participated in a ratings call with Standard & Poor's last week. Those results came back today, AA stable, the same that we experienced back in October, I believe, when we did the last refunding. So talking with Mr. Brewer from Robert W. Baird, he intends to take our bonds to market tomorrow. Thought that the return should be even more favorable than what we saw last month. So if that comes back as the case, then I'll be in contact with Dr. Mason and Mr. Topol with regards to the need for signatures on Wednesday morning. So hopefully your schedules might accommodate that. We'll need those signatures by 10 a.m. so we can get the paperwork submitted in before 11. So all is progressing there. Working on budget work, of course, in preparation for what's to come. I think Mr. Sanders will talk a little bit more about that here momentarily. We had our first Employee Benefits Advisory Committee meeting last week to begin that process of looking at our employee benefits and preparing for our renewal process coming up here later this spring. And then, I don't think Mrs. Strike made mention, but we've unveiled a online scholarship portal for our graduating seniors, and I believe they're kicking that off on Wednesday. So that portal will open up and the students will be able to apply for their scholarships through the school district and the community foundation online through that portal. So I think that kind of surmises everything I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Sanders.
I kind of think all of mine are going to take longer than everybody else who was here, so.
Yeah, I can,
I'm trying to, they were very quick. First of all, I put in your packet a copy of a letter that I would like to send to Representative Kleefisch and Senator Fitzgerald. Basically just talking about upcoming budget and speaking a little bit to our case of what Act 10 and on has done to us. In simple terms, I think it says our district will lose $216,760 if the $150 per children goes away. And then I tried to put it in very simple layman terms. For that to happen, we'd have to lay off 5 people. And that, I'm just trying to impress on them what that means for a district like Lake Mills. Not saying we're going to lay off anybody, but that just so they can put it in terms that they are. If you're all right with this, I'd like to send that off tomorrow, and then I would like to share a copy of it with Todd and Joanne and Mary to maybe pass on to their people to do the same thing, because their people have different representatives than we do in where they live. So if you're all right with that idea on your behalf, I'd like to send that out tomorrow.
and Dennis too?
I can get a copy to Dennis, you bet.
Any objections? It's not good? All right.
Next thing I had on there was the budget. And again, we are $217,000 with that supposedly short. My concern on that is that's not going to be done till after layoff time or any of those kind of things. And in looking at the preliminary audit budget from last year coming back, I believe we can make this thing happen inside. And that's without losing any people, without losing any programs, and without taking anything away from kids. Now, we're going to have to tighten some things up. We may administratively have to lose some things, but I don't think that we have to worry about that being, let's put a panic in the minds of everybody out there. Now, the other side of that coin, though, is it doesn't mean there's going to be any money for extra teachers, other than what we think we need. It also says that, when we start talking raises, we're going to have to do the best we can to keep people here. But that's going to be the most difficult part of the budget. But my hope is that between what we can cut out of there and if we have to borrow a little from the fund balance, I don't want to lay anybody off. I think our kids are getting the programs they should be getting. Our results are starting to go in the right direction, and I think we need to continue to do it that way. So that's going to be my foretake on the budget. And so as we go on, I will continue to talk to you about that, but I'm going to try to make it that way.
I might add to that, Mr. Chady and I attended the legislative forum today at Jefferson with area school districts and superintendents, board members. And my concern was that we are able to retain the quality teachers that we have. in light of this budget shortfall. And I think the public needs to know that we're not getting as much money, we're actually losing money, and that it's becoming more and more difficult to retain the teachers. And that was kind of glossed over a little bit today. They didn't really go into any detail about that. But I think, I sense that everybody else has that same concern, all the other districts too. So I just wanted to bring that in with it. Yeah.
Can I say something in relationship to this budget and things? The other thing that is happening right now that I think the public needs to know is that in school districts, there are these hard-to-fill positions. And tonight, we're voting on one. And we're paying a high cost to hire this person. And I'd like to say, oh, we're hiring too much, paying too much. But the reality is that it's a bidding war out there right now. And it's not only in Lake Mills, but it's everywhere. And I tell you, in 5 years or less, there's going to be bidding wars for teachers. And I came through a period of time when that was happening in the late 60s. You know, 50 years have passed now and people forgot about it. But there was a time when school districts were bidding the highest bidder to get teachers, and that's going to happen again. And our public needs to know that we're having to pay more for teachers and more for these hard-to-fill positions, and we're getting less money. And the legislature needs to know, too, not just that they're cutting 200, but all at a time when we're in these bidding wars for staff.
Yeah.
We want to retain good people. And even if they aren't the greatest, we're going to have to pay a lot of money to get them.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I might add that many of the area school districts are going to referendum to just make ends meet. And luckily, we haven't had to do that at this point. But that's not to say that it won't happen in the future. So with that, food service, or you got more in the budget?
No, I don't. You guys covered everything I would have said, so
All right.
thank you. Food service. Donna sat through the second phase of our strategic planning, and one of the things that you will see next month is to work on our food service and quality, quantity, nutritional value, whatever. And it's been one of those programs that I've defended all the way through. I think that we do a good job, but I think we're also at a point that we're being questioned so much about that program, plus the cost of and loss of money in the program, that I spent some time at the convention talking to, I think there were 4 or 5 food service organizations. And then one that I talked to is this one that you got information from, who's now running the program in Marshall. And so I had the lady from them come in, she met with Bob and I, and sent us these packets to talk about, it may just be time that we go out, and I'm not trying to say we're going to go out and tomorrow bid this thing and have a new food service. We need to go out and check and see what's out there, what the cost of it is, and what can they do for us. Now, the one thing that all of these services will do is they will hire on the people that you already have, or we keep them on and they oversee. So this is not a, let's make sure that all the food service people lose their job type thing. What this is we need to look at participation numbers. We need to look at presentation. We need to look at how we can do maybe a better job nutritionally or whatever, and to be able to deal with our clients and their parents in a better way than we are today. I don't take a lot of hits on the food service because I'm about 2 layers away from it, but I know that our principals do. And I know that, the teachers underneath them do too. So being it's a DPI food service, and you remember in the summer, the only thing we have to ever bid out is milk. Well, you have to bid out a service or do an RFP by DPI rules. This one that I gave you will help us put one together, even though I know they're the company. Now, Myron did that for us back in the day when we did the buildings. I've also talked with the superintendent today from Marshall. They have an RFP. She will share that with me and how they put that out. But I just think it's probably time, and you can see the figures here. I'm not going to announce those in the public, but I think it's time we look. I think it's time we see. I guess the only thing that I felt comfortable about is that they had made the statement that no one loses their job when they come in. There are two ways that you can hire food service people. You can pay them a flat fee for the year, or you could pay them per meal. I know that in Marshall they're paying them per meal, because when they started figuring out how many meals they had, it didn't come to the yearly event or yearly monetary amount. But what I would like to do is to send out the RFPs, have them then interview, we'll look at them, bring a couple of probably the people right here to interview with you, and maybe make some trips out, Bob and I and principals or any of you, maybe we need to go to Marshall and see what they're doing. Or we go to, I know Ripon does it through somebody, and I know Economowalk has a service, and Merton has a service. Maybe it's time we look at that? We've got 3 very, very, very nice kitchen facilities in this district, and we need to be looking how we can use them better. So I guess I'm just asking for your support to send out that RFP and see what we get back. Nobody has to change anything. We don't have to in the long run, but just to see what can they do to help our program, A, from a participation standpoint, B, a monetary standpoint. I don't like losing big money on food service. I know Donna and I have had that conversation many times, but when we got the audit report back the other day and it came in again at what it is, to me it's time.
I would appreciate too if when you talk to people that have this service, if you would talk to people who had the service and then left the service.
Yeah.
Because I worked in a district that did that, and I know several others who left the district.
And in every service organization, it's a 1-year contract, so if you
Right.
don't like, you can walk away. But
And then in your handout, you said that the price, we set the price. When you say we set the price, is it for the Class A lunch, or is it for everything? Because most of these private vendors are allowed to have a store, and sell things.
and the ones that I talked to didn't do any of that.
Okay. 'Cause that's,
They would help you with like a la carte line,
yeah.
but they don't run a store.
Or an let's say a kid wanted to buy a piece of pizza.
Yeah, they help you with all that.
If they'd sell that, but then they're free to set their own price for stuff like that.
No, and this one, right,
You get
right.
to set the price.
Right.
Okay, because that was another thing. And then we have closed campus. We don't have a closed campus? Okay. Because if you have a closed campus, your students are hostage. Do you
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
To whatever this group sells.
Right, we are not a closed campus, so from sophomore, second semester, sophomores have that LCAT pass, and they can go. So if you're all right with that, we'll move forward and at least bring some things back to you. Bus purchase, every year we have that on there. I gave you 2 buses. Again, these are the ones that have about 8,000 to 10,000 miles on them. They've sold in Illinois. They come in, the new buses are about 120,000, and the one that we're looking at is about 95. What Darlene is recommending is to buy a bus with the storage rack underneath. She said, when the football team goes out, they take 2 vans with them. In this case, they would have to take no vans with them. There are a couple of other sports that when they go out or activities, they have to take a van with. In this case, they would not have to. That's why she's recommending that. And you can see the difference between one with and one without is $3,000 and some odd dollars. I don't think it's going to take long in not using the vans to make up the difference in that. So that's what she's recommending. You have that on there later. I have two other quick ones. Dr. Mason, I'd like to have you and I sit down and get the salary committee together, even if it's just to talk about, there's nothing to talk about, I don't know. And the last thing, you can give Mrs. Thompson this now, Mrs. Nicholson. Did you give it to her? Today we were given a news release that says that we have been nominated by the Department of Public Instruction for the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon School Award from the United States Department of Education through work that we've done on our elementary school. There are only three schools in the state that are being nominated, plus one district, and if past practice happens, I think last year 3 of the 4 were awarded awards, and I think we have a really nice shot. This one would be, it says down here, winners are announced on April 22nd. Happens to be Earth Day. They do that on purpose. I think we've got a good shot at winning a national award. And by your April meeting, Ms. Lehman says she'll be here to talk to you about the lead. She's still fighting over, I think, a couple of points. So that's, knowing her, she will get them, and that will help us as we go. And that's all I have. That's enough, probably.
All right. Thank you. Board reports.
You're
We're going
first.
to talk a little bit about policies. And the reason we deleted those off is because the policy committee hasn't had a chance to really review them. We thought we would have that back. The library procedures for reviewing materials in the library, it has gone through the library media people, and we haven't reviewed it yet, so that's why we'll delay action on those things. The last two policies, Policy 860 and 860 Exhibit, I just want to talk about a little bit and open it up to any discussion. And what we did is we looked at facility use again in light of the community use of the new elementary facility and the rest of the facilities and so on and so forth. And we kind of put it on a sliding scale, if you will. Any school function has priority, of course. We felt that was absolutely important. And then the next level would be the community recreation program, and then it goes down to youth groups affiliated with the district, resident and nonprofit organization, religious organizations, and on down. And the other thing, the major change in this was the cost to people for the use of the facilities, and we raised it just minorly, if you will. And we felt the most important one was the event open to all of Lake Mills students, first of all. And the second usage of it is event open to just selected individuals. So if there's a elite team that cuts people, they pay a little bit more. And then the final one is event open to selected students that are students not only in the district but includes students outside the district. And we also put it on a scale of usage. So 1 to 10 would be, you know, if you use the gym 1 to 10 times, you'd pay X amount of dollars. If you use it more than 10, 11 to 19 times, it would cost you a little bit more. And then if you use it more than 20 times, it would cost you additional money. So that was kind of the major changes that
The other major changes on the front page
were
the scheduled school holidays. We have stated that the buildings are closed during a scheduled school holiday. Otherwise, we're paying janitors double overtime to come in here, come away from their families. It has become a concern, and I just think this is the way that we as we discussed it, I thought we decided this is what needed to be done.
So, if, hopefully you had a chance to read that over. This is the first reading. If there's any discussion on that, we need feedback on that. So, Donna?
I do. When I got this policy, I looked at it, but, you know, I never use the facilities, so I'm a poor person to say something about the facilities policy. So I did ask some of the community people that I know, adults and youth users, about it, and said we were in the process of revising it, and I let them look at it and stuff, and I had a call back, and both of them, I asked them first, was any input sought from the users? And these particular people, there hadn't been, nobody had sought any input from them. So they said they had some things that they wanted to comment on, and they wanted to know who wrote this policy, and I said, well, our policy committee, and so they asked for your name and numbers.
Okay.
So if you get any calls, because like I say, I don't know that much about them. I suggested that they called the superintendent first, but they felt that that was one of their concerns, that there was a lot of discretionary, subjective stuff in there that had to go through the superintendent before they could do it, and rather than it being spelled out here. So I don't know all the things, but so you'll probably be hearing from some people. The other thing, I had a few comments too. Do you want to do them now, or you just? Okay. On the first page, okay, down at the bottom where it said there should be no charge for school use, these are really kind of editorial change. It says extension classes under college sponsorship for teacher improvement. Well, are you talking about the traditional extension classes, like the county extension? What's
No,
the
it's the same,
extension?
it's been in this policy since you wrote it
I know.
8 years ago. I think that plus if teachers wanted to come in and use the computer lab to take a long-distance course.
Because if you're talking about the extension, the county extension, and I mean, I know this has always been here, but maybe the word teacher doesn't belong there. Maybe it's just some professional improvement, because sometimes the UW Extension offers classes for groups of people.
Sure.
Whom I don't know.
All right.
Or it could be, could also be any college.
Yeah,
If
it could-
UW-Madison wants to come in with a,
Yeah, that would be an extension
With it,
too.
yeah,
They have an
course.
extension too. You're right. That's right. So that was just that word on there. And then the other thing is now on the second page, down there, the second new paragraph where it says, the district realizes. Okay, and at the last sentence in that paragraph says, this fee will be a one-time payment that must be paid before the facility is used. And then down in your rules, it says fees are to be paid to the district office within 15 days after billing or use of the facility, or future use may be suspended. So one place it kind of says you're supposed to pay before you use it, and another place it says you got 15 days. What, I don't know. You could
Well, the
just-
one-time fee is when you sign up online, is you would pay to use it. The other one is, we don't know how many hours you might use a custodian or a technology person or a
I
cook.
just thought that was confusing.
Okay.
Where one time you said it before, and it
We can
probably means
explain it
something
better in the
different.
second one.
Yeah. Back up in that paragraph, it says too, if these groups, teams, and organizations are outside of the school district functions, outside the school district programs, functions? What's functions?
function is anything that the district does, any kind of program or anything.
Okay,
that
so
goes
would
on.
the word be programs instead of
It could be.
functions? I don't know that either. I'm just making a comment, an editorial comment. And the district realizes, the first sentence says that there are many groups, teams, and organizations that want to use their facilities, okay? If you go back to there, to the first sentence, it says the board recognizes that its facilities are owned by the entire community. So it really, we don't even need there. Use the facilities, you know what I mean?
So you're suggesting it should be there?
I'm suggesting it should be the instead of there. There shows ownership of something, and we don't own them. We just said in the first sentence that the community owns them.
Okay.
I'm just saying the. That was the ones I had.
All right.
And then on the very last page where it says in this whole long list of rules, it says moral character of the Lake Mills community.
Yes,
That's pretty nebulous.
yes, on purpose.
Okay. Okay. And then the other one was on, again, on the back on these rules on the third page, the third one from the bottom. When gymnasiums are used for athletic purposes, all participants must be equipped with gym shoes. It shall be the duty of the supervisor. Does every event have a supervisor? Who's the supervisor?
Whoever signs up and brings them in. So
Okay.
every event has to have a supervisor, or the kids aren't in there.
I thought maybe on your form you had, who's the supervisor? and
It is on the-
Somebody put a name down. I didn't have the form.
It
so
is
I
on the
didn't-
computer form, yes.
Yeah, okay. So then we know who the supervisor
Right.
is. Or, the next one says organizations using school facilities for public dances are required to obtain a dance permit and hire deputies.
That's a city thing, that's not mine.
Oh,
If
okay.
the city makes them hire them, we're telling them they have to pay for them.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't know
Dance permit?
who the deputies
Yeah,
were.
they still have one of those.
Footloose?
Yeah,
So,
isn't that something?
Footloose.
Unless you're at the town
and the
country
other one
days or
was
something.
this, too, on the last page again, 1, 2, 3, 4 up. Free usage of the district buildings will be subject to cancellation or postponement for proper and necessary school use. I can agree with that, but it wouldn't be right to, somebody takes the building, has something planned, and then all of a sudden at the last minute you decide to cancel it.
Well, if I have to cancel it for an athletic practice or a remake of a game,
Yeah,
I
they might
should have the right to do that.
I don't say that you shouldn't have the right, but it should be within so many hours of notice, because some of these organizations, they do a lot of planning. You know, maybe they plan an event a month in advance, and they're publicizing it in the paper, and all of a sudden you say, no, you can't have it because the basketball team wants to practice there. So they might have to cancel within less than 24-hour notice or whatever. I'm not saying you don't have the right, I'm just saying there should be some time limit, because it would be, you know, I'm trying to think of somebody who told me that we weren't having something somewhere because the place wanted to be able to see if they could get something better in there and could give you a notice, and you
No,
can't.
that's never happened.
No, but it should be
What,
some.
yeah, well, all they're saying here is if we have to have it for school use, we have the right to bump somebody.
Cancel and get within a certain amount of notice, wouldn't you say?
Don't always know, to be honest, but we will,
'Cause I mean,
We'll-
if it
we'll
was a
look at it.
community organization and they were having a planned event and they had been publicizing it in the paper.
to me,
and
that's a
selling
lot different
tickets
than
to it-
somebody's got a traveling team practice, and we need to bump that for a school practice.
Well, that's I mean, you know,
I
that's
mean,
not
so
what
that's
this
kind of
say.
what this was aimed at.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying?
I get it, no,
Okay.
I
That's all I'm
understand you.
saying, is that it should say something about how much notice you would give if you had to take it away. So,
But in most cases, if it's free usage,
yeah,
it's not an organization that's using it because they're paying for it.
okay,
So that would be a whole different thing.
okay, but
Free
let's,
usage would be somebody who is a rec team or a non-rec team or something like, or a rec team that we may have to bump because of a school function. But we can put a time limit in there, that's
I mean,
simple.
there could be the 4-H, or, you know, I think of 4-H, I think of FFA alumni, I mean, we had a funeral here, you know, you aren't gonna bump them and say, well, I guess the drama class now wants to practice.
Well, I don't think we do that anyway. But there are enough facilities that we can move them around, and we have the
Yeah.
ability to do that,
I'm
too.
just saying that's unclear.
Huh?
I'm just saying that statement is unclear
Okay?
and needs something about, that's all the ones that I know,
Okay.
but like I
Are
said.
there any other comments, especially on the fee structure? Because we kind of threw that out there, and
Well, are there some groups here now that are not paying right now that would have to pay under this new policy?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of them, or what about adults? You say youth, but what about adults?
Anything that's through the rec program does not have to pay. Most of our adult use is through the rec program. So they pay a fee to be in a volleyball league or a basketball league,
If they
or
want to shoot around on a Sunday night, they're going to have to pay.
if it's through the rec department, they do not have to pay.
Okay, okay. Okay, like I say, you probably get
Well,
more
there's-
comments, because I don't know about what the costs don't
Well,
seem
there's a
right
lot
to
of,
me.
there's a lot of different usages going on with
I
different
believe that.
teams.
I believe that.
And some of them are not, are restrictive to the kids. They cut kids.
I believe
And,
that.
and we feel that they ought to pay more, you know?
I mean, I don't
Rather
have a
than
problem.
as compared to those that everybody is welcome.
We also looked at other districts to come up with those numbers, so we kind of looked.
I mean, I'm not saying anything about the fees because I don't know about the fees, but I'm just going on your basic premise that we recognize that the facilities are owned by the entire community. And so then we want them to have the right to use it, and I think this policy tries to do that. They have different fees for different things. Now, I don't know, everybody that I know that might be able to, that might use this policy, they aren't going to have any trouble paying these fees you've got. But I believe in this community, there are some people that might. I don't know who they are.
We've always had fees, haven't we? We've just kind
Yeah.
of looked at the numbers and made some
That's
adjustments.
why I asked, are there more people now, are there more groups now that are going to be required to pay fees in the new policy than had to pay them in the old? You
Yes,
said
some,
yes.
yes.
There are
Okay.
s- Yeah, there are some.
Okay. That's probably what these people are going to comment about. I don't know.
Maybe,
Just saying.
maybe. Any other comments from anybody? Does that seem reasonable, kind of,
Yes,
For the
it
first-
does seem reasonable.
for the first reading? Do you?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that's the first reading of that particular one. Facility report. Mr. D'Imperio.
Last week on the 4th, the building committee got together along with our construction management firm via electronically to do a bid opening for the projects that were planned for the high school this coming year. And as a reminder, those projects include the upgrading of the restrooms at the lower level of this building to make them accessible, improvements to the mechanical system, specifically air conditioning for some of the interior spaces, the commons area, the multipurpose room, the music area, the kitchen area. Improvements in this wing of the building, the classrooms, energy conservation type things by replacing the exterior windows and replacing the heating system. We're going to utilize the existing cooling system in this building, as well as providing a new parking lot adjacent to the auditorium. That parking lot nominally will have 100-plus cars in addition to what we currently have. There will also be a storage building constructed, as well as a fairly large section of the roof on this building requires replacement at this time. We've got all the roofs on a schedule so that we're proactive on the roofs rather than waiting for a failure. When we looked at these things back months ago, there was a preliminary budget on the order of $1.6 million. The bids came in at approximately $1.5 million. We were very pleased with that. There was some fairly good bid activity. There were a number of bidders in most categories, a good number of bidders, and we felt that we were getting good representative numbers. So later on in the agenda, there's a action item to approve awarding those subcontracts.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence?
I have two this month. Dear Dean and the Lake Mill Schools, on behalf of my family, thank you for the beautiful flowers. They were greatly appreciated and helped in making the journey a little easier. But more importantly, thank you for your care and support over the years. I am forever grateful. Diane
Sweeney.
Sweeney. Okay. And dear Mr. Sanders, thank you so much for your generosity in allowing us to have Dixie Stetson's memorial service and luncheon at the Lake Mills High School. The facility was a wonderful option given the large number of people expected. The family was most grateful, as were our church members. Thank you again, Gail Frazier.
Okay, thank you. Action items. Approval of professional staff retirement.
First one, you have a letter. It says it is my intent to retire at the end of the 2014-15 school year. It has been my pleasure to be a part of the Lake Mills Area School District and Lake Mills community for the past 35 years. I have enjoyed raising my family and having an active role in the community that helps develop our children into successful young adults. It has been an honor to be watching our students grow and seeing their accomplishments over the years. I feel fortunate to have been able to spend my entire professional career in Lake Mills. Robin Davison.
Well, I'll move the board approve the retirement request from Ms. Robin Davidson and thank her sincerely for the years of service to the children, staff, community, and the school district of Lake Mills.
Moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Mrs. Davidson. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of professional staff contract.
You have in your packet a write-up on a school psychologist for grades 5 through 12 for next year. It's Jessica Calloway. She will be finishing her internship as working with us we will oversee her work. Again, I was pretty impressed with her knowledge, her enthusiasm, and her getting back closer to home. She's from the area originally.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve a contract for Ms. Jessica Calloway as the grade 5 through 12 psychologist for the 2015-2016 school year.
Moved and seconded to approve Ms. Calloway for the psychologist position. Any discussion? Comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of paraprofessional staff resignation.
It says, good morning all. I need to resign my para position at the middle school effective immediately. This is a very difficult decision to make as I enjoy my job very much. However, we are dealing with some issues and I need to be more at home more at this time. Thank you for such a wonderful learning experience. I have never been more thankful for such an incredibly knowledgeable and compassionate group of educators. Ms. Tammy Brigham.
Motion, please.
The board approve the resignation of Ms. Tammy Brigham as a paraprofessional for the district and thank her for her time and service to the children of the district.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Ms. Brigham. Comments? Questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-curricular resignations.
We have two this month. One is a letter that says from Jeff Torberg. Jeff was a student teacher who last year who did track with us and this year is not able to come back because of his schedule. Just said it has been great to work with you and other coaches of Lake Mills during both of my experiences. I have learned a great deal and will use what I learn as I move forward to get a job and start teaching and coaching on a full-time basis. And again, thanks again. The second one is from Mr. Terry Jones. It says, you may already know this, but I will not be back next year. Terry is the assistant wrestling coach at the middle school, and he's been at the high school. He said, I will be back to volunteer and do a 3-week unit in 6th grade. He does a 3-week unit on wrestling every year. But he's having to have some hand surgery. He's been coaching wrestling for the district for 42 years. And there's just other things at this point in time. He will miss the kids. He has had a great group, and that makes it harder. Terry's done a great job with our kids over the years that I've known him, so he will be missed.
I move the board approve the resignation of Mr. Terry Jones as a middle school wrestling coach and Mr. Jeff Torbert as an assistant track and field coach, and thank them for their time and effort for the students of our district.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve co-curricular resignations. Any comments?
Terry Jones knows what it's all about.
Good, good. Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of custodial resignation, or retirement, rather.
I want to personally thank the Lake Mills School District for allowing me to be a part of a wonderful district for the past 20 years. As I approach my 67th birthday, I find it necessary to take retirement. I want to be able to travel with my wife and go fishing and hunting with the boys while I still have good health to do it. It would be hard to leave such a wonderful place of work and all my friends. However, I have put in my time and now want to explore the world and enjoy my time off. My last day of work will be June 30th, 2015. I hope that, this gives the district plenty of time to find a replacement. While it won't be easy to find another person like me, perhaps a new person with fresh ideas may brighten the future of the elementary school. I am sad to be leaving, but will enjoy my wife and freedom that retirement allows. I want to thank you and the district for being such an important part of my life. From helping many young children get ready for middle school to all the parties, I will truly miss all of these things. Sincerely, Merlin Klucko.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve the retirement request of Mr. Merlin Kloko at the end of the 2014-15 school year, and thank him for his service to the students, school, and community of Lake Mills.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the custodial retirement. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. Approval of bus purchase.
In your packet is the list of all of the buses. And again, she's recommending number 29 be replaced. And I believe there's the 2 bids. One is the one with the storage units, and one is without. So if you've got any questions after you get it on the table, I can answer those.
Take a motion, please.
I move the board approve the purchase of the 2015 Thomas bus from Nelson Bus Service of Whitewater, Wisconsin at the cost of $95,752.
Second.
Second. It's on the table. Any questions?
One question, the compartment, I assume that is enclosed as you would find on most coaches?
Yes, it's underneath, opens and then locks, and it is enclosed, yes.
Is this a trade-in?
No, they don't take trade-ins. We will sell the other bus outright.
Will we? Okay, that's what I wondered.
You don't get
'cause,
much for
as you
them.
bring one in, pretty soon you're going to run out of
No,
storage
we
if
always
you
sell
don't
that's where it said bus 29 would be
be
sold.
the one that will be sold.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. And that passes unanimously. Approval of high school remodeling bids.
The next group is the bids. This is the way that we have always done it. If you approve these tonight, then I will contact Myron tomorrow morning so that they can release the subcontract bids as of tomorrow. There are, because there's a lot of littler things, you'll see a lot of different areas that there are different bidders, and whoever, again, low bids are on there and where they're from.
Mr. D'Imperio.
Well, I'll move the board approve Myron Construction of Neenah, Wisconsin to issue contracts for the following companies for their work on the high school remodeling project: earthwork and selective site demolition and storm sewer, forest landscaping and construction of Lake Mills, asphalt paving, Payne and Dolan of Pittsburgh, site concrete, J.W. Schultz Construction, Fort Atkinson, seeding and landscaping, Always Contractors of Elm Grove, Wisconsin, casework and countertop, Workspace Studio, Middleton, aluminum windows and glazing, Hometown Glass and Improvement, Beaver Dam, framing, drywall, and plaster patching, E&A Enterprises, Verona, Wisconsin, ceramic tile, H.J. Martin and Sons, Green Bay, painting, Omni Glass and Paint, Oshkosh, toilet compartments, furnish and install, Block Iron and Supply Company, toilet accessories, furnish only, Block Iron and Supply Company of Madison, window blinds, Wisconsin Window Concepts, Waukesha, plumbing, Hooper Corporation, Madison, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, Tricor Mechanical, Janesville, electrical, Midwest Electric, Johnson Creek.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the bids. Questions, comments on that?
What are the bids?
What are the bids?
Yeah, what's the total? I mean, we're approving money,
We already approved the money.
but is it $1.5 million? Do these total to that, or what are they total to?
The total cost of the project, including these subcontracts, the architectural fees, the construction manager fee, as well as a contingency, is $1.546 million.
And these contracts, okay, well, these are contracts we're approving, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
The low bids.
Well,
Other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of co-curricular pay schedule increase.
A while back, Dawn, Steve, and I and the middle school and high school principal got together to talk about our co-curriculars, and in the schedule that's in the handbook comes out of the old contract. Some of them are no longer, they weren't even being done anymore. We had some sports and co-curricular activities that you had added over the years that weren't in there. So we went down and redid the whole thing. We also then looked at that the co-curriculars comes off a base salary, and then it's paid by percentage. And the pace that we were using was the 2011-2012 salary schedule. And so what we're asking is that we up the salary schedule to meet whatever the base is of the year that you have. So going into 2015-16, whatever your base salary is what you would base your co-curricular code off of. And I think I gave you one that kind of compared all of the area schools and where we were at. I mean, the difference between 2011 and 2015 is $26,000, I don't know what I got, $222. But again, in the hours that these people put in and for what they do, I think it's time that we bring it up to the base salary for what it is for next year. So that's all we're asking you to do, is to make that change. Because there's nothing in our handbook that says anything about what's the base salary.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve the extracurricular pay schedule to increase in the future to coincide with what the base salary is for that year. This increase will begin with the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the increase in co-curricular pay. Questions? Steve?
We're still looking at web and link?
Yeah.
Adding something like
Yep.
that to them?
Yep.
Okay.
My question, I'm not sure how to read this thing.
The first part of it, all it is
What are the underlines? Are those
that's
the
where our
increases?
people currently are at, that are in that position.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of gave you an idea of how much, when adding all of the money up, how much that would be. Because you could look at it and say, okay, I have a head baseball coach with years of experience. Does that mean I'm upping the co-curricular $8, $9, $10, $1,800? No, we're increasing it $537 because that's where he is at the present time. And that's what it meant. I apologize. I may not have done a good job explaining that.
So,
So do we add that $537 to something?
That becomes part of the 2026-222. So if you add the entire right column, that's what it comes to, all the increases.
got it. And then the second question I have is the base salary with all these other, is that what theirs are based on, like
That's
Jefferson?
what they're basing theirs on, yes. Now, I don't know if that's their base or that's what they base it on.
And ours is the current salary.
Now, ours is the current, we have a line item in our salary schedule that says base salary, and it has always been there. When you cut off the bottom two lanes of the salary schedule, we never changed that base salary figure.
Okay.
So that base salary is coming from 2011, 2012. Our base isn't that, but that's where that figure comes from.
So we haven't improved that to current?
Oh, yeah, it's like 34 or something now. Right.
And that's all this is.
Okay, so
Yeah, moving it up.
So
All right.
this will change.
Got it.
Yeah.
I still don't, and I apologize for that. So what would it be for the first entry there, the head baseball coach?
The increase-
After you did the increase, what would the number be?
And, oh, geez,
Oh,
Bob,
this
that's,
is just the increase, okay.
yeah.
Just the increase, what the base was,
Yeah.
I seem to
This is the current.
recall, like baseball.
This is the new salary schedule.
No, but I understand what Bob is saying, is he wants to know what
We
the
are
total
paying-
would
We're paying
be.
that person more than $537.
Yeah, the increase would be $537. I think theirs is 8% of the base.
Okay,
Some
so-
are 8, some are 11, some are 6, some are 5.
Well, that's pretty handy then, isn't it?
No.
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 So nominally, those are 2,500, 3,000 in
About that, little,
that
you know,
magnitude?
you probably have 3 or 4 head coaches, girls basketball, boys basketball, football, that's because their seasons are longer and that, it might be a little more. And then all of the next tier, baseball, wrestling, soccer, they're all the same. So maybe 35 something.
Okay, good.
And in baseball's case, it's not 3,000.
Okay, I was just trying to get a
No, I understood where you were going.
Yeah.
get a sense.
Well, the other thing is, if we get ourselves beyond athletics, which we tend to talk about, these other things that fit in here, and I remember, I think the drama coach is right up there with the football coach, isn't it, for salary? I mean, it's based on what you
Yes.
said, Dean, on
Time.
time put in and stuff
Right.
like that. So the other
Yeah.
co-curriculars that aren't athletics we try to compensate those in relationship to time and things, just like we do
Right.
the sports.
Right.
And with the increases here, you can see, you know, if you're looking at head basketball and head drama and football, it's all the same increase, so it's
That's right.
off the same base.
And now, do we have an equestrian coach? I didn't see that.
It's not a paid coach. It wasn't when they asked for it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now that we all understand this chart, I think. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of youth options
I had
request.
one student who was like approval for classes for next year. And I think it's always a good thing to say at this point in time, It's one student asking for youth options. You remember back when the Jedi was the way it used to be, the other way, we used to be looking at lists 2 and 3 pages long. So the Jedi that we have changed to the long-distance learning has helped keep the students in the classroom. They're not spending as much time traveling, and I just think we're getting a great deal for what we have.
Okay, motion, please.
I'll move the board approve the youth option request for the first semester of the 2015-16 school year.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve youth options request. Questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. March board items, agenda items.
I have a couple already.
March, April.
April. Moving a little behind there, Coach.
Yeah.
April would be any layoffs that you have to give, would have to be done in April. I will be bringing the second phase report from the strategic planning for you to look at and then probably approve in May. The auditors will be here to go back over the audit report. Youth apprenticeship, the lady who runs the youth apprenticeship for us wants to come and speak to you. Cindy Sandberg, I don't think she's ever been here, and she's trying to get out this year and see all of the boards and introduce herself and talk about, where we're doing with the youth apprenticeship.
Election.
Election report.
Close race.
Remember that we do need to have a second meeting in April to swear in the new people who are elected. You cannot do that before the 4th Monday of April. So if you want to look at your calendars and look at the 4th Monday, I know we've always tried to do it right on the 4th Monday, which happens to be the 27th. If you want to look at that and email me to see if that works. If you look at home.
On April?
Yeah. And Steve, you don't have to do that, so.
Is that reorganization
That's
too?
reorganization, yes.
And isn't that when that Cape group asked?
They would
to
like
come?
to, but I haven't heard anything back from them. If
We're
you
waiting
have,
for a date. We're
okay.
waiting for the date. So as
So
soon
it's
as
April 27th,
it's okay with me.
6 o'clock?
April 27th is okay with me, too.
Can we go at,
Fine.
can we go at
I
6?
don't have my calendar, but it should be, I know, I forgot. It should be okay.
Maybe.
6 o'clock?
I believe we can do that.
Okay.
All right. So let's plan on that one. As of right now, that's all I have, Dr. Mason.
Okay, will you let Cape know that that's
I will call
the date?
Mrs. Whistler, yes.
And Mr. Topol's last date will be the 13th?
Yes.
13th? All right. Cake and ice cream? All right. Motion to adjourn in executive session.
Move we adjourn to executive session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Pren 1, Pren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically personnel non-renewal notices.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded to motion to adjourn to executive session. Roll
Rick,
call.
can we just say something really briefly there?
Sure.
Remember under Act 10, at this point in time, we would have been talking about layoffs. But there are no such thing as layoffs anymore. Everything is a non-renewal. So that's why you're doing it the way you do it. I just think that the public needs to hear that.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. We are adjourned to executive session.
Do you have that article for Dennis?
How am I signing now, Patty?
Dennis, we've got a copy of that of
Oh,
that.
yeah, that thing.
That's one of the things that happened in
Audit, no,
Waterloo,
it's
why
just
they
an
left
audit
Right,
report
right.
for
paid,
April.
the paid
Free
lunch
night.
group.
I get 5.
They had control of
Jerry for
the
what?
odds and
Me?
ends that you sell, you
No,
know,
not yet.
at a
Free
store like
nine.
here at the.
One day in the 50s.
Gee.
Talking about here? Okay, they were able to control their own
We'll find out
prices for
tomorrow
the
at
kids
the
who ate in the
university
cafe part, not on the
50s
hot
days.
lunch.
They go
So
nuts.